A very warm welcome to IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 14. I'm Ritvika Gupta and you're watching our special weekend edition SuperAchievers Making New India powered by VoiceWhat. In this episode, we feature two special conversations with industry leaders driving innovation and shaping the future of their sectors. In the first segment, we speak to Balaji Sreenivasan, founder and CEO Aurigo Software. And in the second segment, we are in conversation with Raghav Chandra, co-founder Urban Company.
At Aurigo, we build AI-native software for people who build the world. Roads, airports, water systems, data centers, every major infrastructure and facilities program you can think of, our software helps build that. Our platform connects planning, construction, maintenance, so owners and teams can decide earlier, act faster, and deliver with confidence. We manage over $450 billion in North America's most complex capital programs. That's how we help build a better tomorrow.
We have a global footprint. A large part of our technology teams are based here in Bangalore. Let me tell you how Aurigo hires. Aurigo hires for depth. The people that thrive here are the ones that have very strong business acumen, they technically adept, and display very high levels of ownership. Now, AI fluency makes all of this better. AI fluency is now a part of our DNA. Aurigo teams do not leverage AI as a shortcut, not anymore. We pressure test it, we challenge it. To sum it up, Aurigo is not hiring talent that knows how to use AI. We're not looking for people that are AI users. Aurigo is hiring talent that can challenge and make AI better, make it better for capital programs.
At Aurigo, we don't have an India team and a US team. We have one global delivery team that just happens to span multiple continents. We have our colleagues in India on calls with senior customer leaders, and they're solving real-world problems on programs that build highways and transit networks and the clean water infrastructure that our customers and their communities depend on. What we found is our customers don't care about time zones, they care about outcomes, and we deliver those together.
As India accelerates investments in urban infrastructure, technology is becoming critical to delivering these projects faster and smarter. And Aurigo Software is at the forefront of this transformation. Joining us to discuss Aurigo's journey from a Bengaluru startup to a global tech leader is Balaji Sreenivasan, founder and CEO Aurigo Software. My colleague Sreeja brings you this conversation.
Thank you, Mr. Balaji Sreenivasan, founder and CEO Aurigo Software, for joining us on the special episode of Leaders of Tomorrow. I would like to begin asking about Aurigo celebrating over 2 decades in business, right? Now take us back to 2003. How did it all begin for you, and how did a home startup from Bengaluru evolve into a global leader managing nearly $500 billion in projects?
Thank you for taking the time to be here today with us. Yeah, if I look back in 2003 when we started the company, we were bootstrapped.
Yes.
Right. I started with an idea to solve a problem, and that's really what it was. My journey with technology began when I was a kid. When I was 8 years old, I was writing code, and so that's something I always wanted to do. And so, one of the advantages of starting in a bootstrapped environment is you don't have the luxury of building products that people don't want.
Yes.
So when you raise a lot of money, you get to do stuff that might not necessarily make a monetization viable. So I guess we didn't have that luxury, and I think that discipline helped us build a product that really solved a problem. And over time, as we started solving that problem, we realized that there was more to it than just field inspections.
Right.
We started with just automating field inspections using mobile technology, and then we realized it was more, so we expanded the product stack to construction, and then to planning, and then maintain. And before you know it, we had the entire stack of tech for capital owners building large infrastructure programs. So it's been quite the ride.
Well, you often talk about consistency is the key. Now, taking forward to the following question. Aurigo is often described as having its core engineering heart here in India. How does the India-led product strategy differ from the traditional one as far as captive or support center is concerned?
Yeah, that's a great question. So look, over 55% of the world's global capability centers, or what these guys call GCCs today, are based here in India.
Yes.
And a lot of them, I don't know what the percentage is, but a lot of them are essentially delivering services.
I think it stands about at least 54% of the world's.
Yeah, the world's 54%,
Yes.
right? And so a lot of that percentage within that 54% are delivering services, right? And they're executing decisions made elsewhere. I think one of the big differences in our center in India is that it's not really treated as an outsourced arm. It is native to the entire business, and that's why it's the engineering heart. A lot of those outcomes are owned here, and so they co-own the roadmap. The roadmap actually belongs in this building.
Okay.
And so the roadmap for products are getting delivered along with our teams in Austin and Cape Town, right from engineers writing code out here, outside this room. So that's really why it makes this a little interesting and unique.
Okay. Your journey began in Bengaluru before scaling to manage $450 billion in global capital programs. Looking back at the early bootstrap days, like you just pointed out earlier, how has the Indian tech ecosystem evolved or influenced Aurigo's culture of operational discipline and long-term innovation?
Yeah, so look, I'm an Austin CEO and I'm also a Bangalore boy, so I'm comfortable with an entire sentence, right? So I don't need to segregate it one or the other. But I think really growing up in Bangalore, I was surrounded by technology in the 80s and 90s. It was a lot of the whole boom that just started back then.
Yes.
And so I think ignoring that was not even an option. And so I think that definitely influenced me wanting to do something in this space. And I think the talent here has been phenomenal. A lot of people come here for the cost, and I think we've come here for the talent. The talent is phenomenal. They just need to be channeled towards the right purposes. And I think when you channel them towards building products and owning roadmaps, the type of people you attract changes.
Yes.
And so I think the type of people we've tried to attract are very different from a generic GCC trying to hire staff to deliver services. And so I think the biggest retention that one can possibly have is meaningful work.
True.
And I think that's really what we try and offer here.
Well, Mr. Balaji, can you explain how embedding AI into your core architecture of your products changes the day-to-day experience for the engineers building it in India?
Yeah, so over the last 4 or 5 years especially, the role of what an engineer does has dramatically changed, right? Engineers wrote a lot of code before.
Right.
And today they're writing less code. Like everything is moving upstream. So product managers used to write PRD documents, send them to developers. Developers would write code. Now product managers are using Claude Code to write code, and they're using Claude to build PRD documents. And engineers are really orchestrating, stewarding that code and making it more scalable. And so I think that what the engineer does today is changed significantly from what they were doing 3-4 years back. Our own throughput has increased, right? If you look at how we look at productivity, we use a term called story points.
Right.
Story points is kind of used to calibrate how much code was produced by engineers. And so if we were at X last year, we are now at 4X. And so you might ask me, so hey, if you've increased your throughput by 4X, what are you doing with all this additional capacity?
Yes.
And so the honest answer is some roles will go away and will get diminished. But a lot of this freed capacity is, at least as far as we're concerned, we're pointing it towards bigger and better products and markets. So for example, we built our new product stack called Primus, which is our flagship software for commercial owners, life sciences, data centers, energy, and manufacturing. And normally what would take us 36 to 48 months to ship, it took us less than 12 to 16 months to ship.
Right.
And that's an opportunity that would not have gotten realized had we not really adopted AI internally.
Okay.
So we're really changing the way we work in software. We're also adopting AI across other functions in HR, in how we onboard, in marketing, and how we produce content, in finance and how we audit and produce reports. And so it's kind of become pervasive through the org. And so I would say overall, it's about how much more you can do with that freed capacity. Now we also have a concept called forward deployed engineers that's kind of become a buzzword in the industry. And forward deployed engineers, or FDEs, are really people who are no longer sitting in the back office writing code, but really working with customers, solving their problems, and letting AI do a lot of the grunt work using an orchestration and combination of agents and humans who are delivering the code the customers need.
Right. One of Aurigo's value propositions for talent is full product lifecycle exposure. Now, how does working on a project from problem definition to global deployment help you attract top-tier talent, especially engineering talent, in a competitive market like India?
Yeah, I mean, hiring in India has always been a challenge because you're
Has it?
competing. Yeah, it has. I mean, without doubt. Because
Okay.
I think, there are two types of talent pools in India that exist. The people who go work in services companies, and then the small select few that all of the product companies are trying to go after, who understand building product. And building a product is very different than building a service, because even though you're writing code that is going to be repeatable for many customers versus doing it bespoke for a client or a customer. And so I think the big difference really is that we're going after the same talent. And so it becomes kind of like a prize war. And then when you get into a prize war, you usually never win with the very large players. So I think what we really offer is meaningful work. And the meaningful work comes from ownership. If people feel like they own outcomes, like an engineer sitting in India working on our product along with a colleague in South Africa and a colleague in Toronto and a colleague in Austin, is impacting the way infrastructure in Utah gets built, right? And so that's the impact that engineers here can make versus an engineer working in another product arm. So I think we kind of talk about the meaningful work and the quality work that they will be in. We go after some of the best schools in India, and we are on campus. We hire from there. We also train natively. So we spend a lot of money on training people inside the company once they join us. And I think those are some of the reasons why we are able to retain talent.
Balaji, you were talking to me about with respect to how you hire talent, right? And yes, of course, India is a competitive market, but after hiring happens, you train them. Now, I want to understand that we often talk about the skill gap, right? What do you have to say about that?
So look, there's a skill gap that we can address once we hire people, whether they're right out of college or whether they're mid-tier or they're senior. And we train them on a lot of our domain, our industry, and AI tools and AI skills. But there's also something to be said about the talent pool that exists outside before they come and join us. And I think this is an opportunity for both industry and government to get together. And
Yes.
I think they could reevaluate the curriculum and what they're teaching these kids and these people outside in these colleges. I think the time has really come for them to reflect and think about what goes into their curriculum before they graduate.
Absolutely. It's time to be industry ready, in fact. So moving on to another question, what I must ask you is about Aurigo Cares, right? Aurigo is also doing some incredible high-tech work, and you also have a very human touch to it. If you can tell us more on that.
Yeah, Aurigo Cares is very personal to me, and it's something that our company really gets involved in. It is an initiative where it is our social impact outreach program. And it's not just in India. We do a lot of amazing work in India.
Okay.
It is a global program. Specific to India, we're helping educate children in schools. We have hundreds of children getting educated and fed and provided all the abilities they would need to actually have an equal footing with anyone else from a better background. And we do this with schools in Bangalore, in rural areas, in urban
Right.
areas, etc. We also have a lot of programs in the US where we work with veterans through a Wounded Warrior project, where we actually help them rehabilitate and get the skills required to come back and join the workforce.
Okay.
We do a lot of work for Earth Day, where a lot of our employees participate in community impact and environmental impact programs. So I think it's about letting people who come and work here do something more than just write code or market it or sell it. We're all human, and I think helping other humans who are less fortunate is a big part of what Aurigo Cares is all about.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. In fact, thank you for speaking to us, and it was an insightful conversation, Mr. Balaji.
Thank you, Sreeja. Thank you for being here.
It's time for a quick break here. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned.